Chomo got incredibly angry that he couldn't guess how many times I was pressing the button. He put it on Cobra. He put it 3 or 4 tracks. Hello, Chomo, you're there. Fuck off. It's 3 or 4 times. I go back, look at the title of the video, and realize maybe you shouldn't be doing this, eh? Fuck off. All child molesters, go kill yourselves. If you're a child molester, go kill yourself, please. Don't watch the video and try to talk to me in the street and tell me how you know me from here and there. No, you don't. We don't know each other. Fuck off. All Chomos, kill yourselves. Do the world a huge favor. Is the one redeeming thing you could do as a Chomo is permanently stop. Or you won't. You'll attack the video 30,000 times in a row. Over 2,000 videos. Over 2,000 videos. Over 100 times per video, this idiot's hitting the fucking button. And won't fuck off. Will not fuck off. These people are approaching me in the street, yelling at me in the street about this like I'm reaching out to them. Say it to my face. The fuck are you talking about? Whatever I said on my video already. Fuck off. I don't know who the fuck you are. Fight me, fight me. Why? And why are you screaming fight me at a dog? Because the whole fucking neighborhood thinks you were screaming at a dog, eh? And here's the problem with 99% of humans. None of you will fucking confront a sex offender. None of you will. None of you will. I don't want to think. Yeah, you don't want to think. End of sentence. You all do the same goddamn thing. And you can see it. People get convicted, and the people that support them still go, I don't want to believe it. I can't believe it. I don't see how it's possible. He doesn't seem that way to me. He seems such a nice person. Right, of course. This one seems like a fucking psychopath, sociopathic method. Antisocial, I think, is the correct way to frame that one. I don't know what Trippz I'm supposed to feel bad. The child molesters hate me. Okay. Why do you hate me? Because you didn't get to rape me when I was little. Wow, okay. And what do you expect from me for that? We've got police officers trying to back up how I owe this guy something. It's my fault somehow. Wow. What's my fault? Him choosing to attack me is my fault. Okay, and because he can't successfully do it, I owe him something more? Are you fucking fucked up on crack? These are clowns. They're fucking clowns. Just think of the police officers, the proud young gay police officers running to the white supremacists too, go figure, running to the defense of, and they're mixed blood, they're like half Chinese and shit, running to the defense of the poor pedophiles. You've been doing this out here for fucking years. We just keep killing the goofs and you don't notice. All these cops are buddies with these types of people. You've been doing this for fucking years, and you're proud of it. Don't let anybody stand in your way, bro. My karma, my karma, your karma, your karma. Karma, my karma, your karma. Karma, your karma, your karma, my karma. Karma, yeah,
just a wish, yeah. I can tell that you a snitch, oh, you look a lot like a bitch, yeah. I got my water than Fiji, you know my diamonds are richer than Kiwi. I'm coming in like a beach, yo, aiming for for a treat, yo. Watching this money up flip, fucking my family get hit, yo. Wanna go around with the cat, oh, fuck with the fear and go black, black. They tell me I make it look easy, I'll let you up when I'm fucking up easy. I know it like you before, yo, I'm just front of a my karma, my karma, your karma, your karma. Karma, my karma, your karma. Karma, yeah, karma, your karma, my karma. Karma, yeah, down.
I'm supposed to care if child molesters or white people don't like me. He didn't do it. I told him to do. It's the same complaint over and over. I yelled at him what to do, and he didn't do it. Or even better, making it up. I stopped him. I was stop, and he kept coming at me. And why are you trying to punch me in the spleen? Are you retarded? People with sickle cell have half a fucking spleen. It's behind our stomachs and under two ribs. How do you can't fucking hit it, moron? It's like you can't give me B19 after I've got it. They tried for a year to give me B19 when I already had it. How fucking stupid these people are. I can only imagine that the public health education system in South Africa is horrible. That's all I can imagine. That's all I can imagine. And by the way, average age of 15, that means half the population under the age of 15. And when they got sent shipments of condoms, their genius idea was to take instructions and staple them to the condoms. Yeah. It's all self-serving. It's all self-serving.
Anybody standing in my way, bro? My karma, your karma, your karma. Karma, my karma, your karma. Karma, yeah, karma, your karma, my karma. Karma, yeah,
Dumb. Fucking retarded. You guys are fucking stupid.
You look a lot like a bitch, yeah. I got my water than Fiji, you know my diamonds are richer than Kiwi. I'm coming in like a beach, yo, aiming for a treat, yo. Watching this money up flip, fucking my family get hit, yo. Wanna go around with the cat, oh, fuck with the fear and go black, black. They tell me I make it look easy, I'll let you up when I'm fucking up easy. I know it like you before, yo, I'm just front of a my karma, your karma, your karma. Karma, my karma, your karma. Karma, yeah, karma, your karma, my karma. Karma, yeah,
Dumb.
Again, setting a one-day record for vaccines.
The largest numbers of vaccine candidates should be at the beginning, not the end. You're doing it wrong. If you keep having record days in a row, you're doing it wrong on purpose.
Fullest postal codes is at 680.
Got it for the low. What you really know, I got it.
Global News Radio 640 Toronto.
It's now 8 minutes after 4 o'clock. If you're just joining us, Peter Sherman here for today and Monday.
This year you already know.
Mental health issues. We were talking earlier about the financial issues. Obviously, a result of so many people.
1/3 of everybody that gets COVID, then that means people that bothered to go and get tested. So we're not counting the asymptomatic transmitters yet, the super spreaders and all that. have some sort of mental problem such as psychosis or dementia.
The number of Canadians experiencing mental health issues continues to rise. This is across the country. The poll also found an increasing number of people, 53%, are willing to discuss their issues with family and health professionals or publicly on social media, which is a real departure from the way things used to be. In April 2018, they did a similar poll, 41%, and so it's really jumped. But we're also, they're talking about it in these terms, in crisis mode. A number of Canadians at high risk, meaning they've experienced some combination of debilitating stress, hopeless depression, consideration of suicide or self-harm. This, when I start to use those kinds of words to describe. Now, 680 News gas price update. Info predicts the price will drop 2 cents at midnight to $1.38.9. When you call a Dell Technologies advisor,
You have mental illness. Now watch how it works. Black people mistrust the government and have vaccine hesitancy and think they're all at reparations and think they got here before white people brought them here and they think they're Indian, so they're mentally ill. And we're racist against niggers, so we have mental illness that you have to forgive. It's not our fault. Right. Right, of course. You are fucking clowns. You're all fucking clowns. It's always a white person telling you how mentally ill you are, telling you that they're the model of mental health. They can't be. They're inbred. They don't have the genetic diversity to form a proper neural network. And you can't change that. You can't change that.
I'ma get it one day. I'm cruising down the highway. All I know that crime pays. Get 'em on it 5 ways. I'm cruising down the highway. I'ma get it one day. Yeah, they talk it, but they never lived it. I've been good.
So in the past 2 years, I've been charged with, what was it? Obstructing justice was why I got arrested in the first place. That's not how that works. I was obstructing you from what? My name was written on my wrist, and you're demanding to know my name for no reason. I don't have to tell you. Although you could have seen it by looking at my wrist. So there go, we're in a catch-22. I don't have to answer you. So I don't know what they say. It was 2 counts of assaulting police or something like that. Uttering death threats to police. That's what it was. Let's see. 1 count of getting hit by white people. 1 count of touching elevator buttons. I'm not making this shit up. This is how creative you people are. And every single time, it's a bunch of white people telling me, you're white, you're not. And they have to wait till I tell them what I am to know what to deny. Oh, well, I'm this and that too. Oh, well, in that case, you should have said, no, we're not playing this pretend fucking game where you get to pretend that being low on the IQ score makes you special. It don't. If you had scored average 100 points on the IQ test, you would not be a police officer right now. Unless you were smart enough to fuck up the test, like the judge said. If you know that that's how they grade it, and you're that intelligent, fuck up some of the answers, stupid. That's real. They fought 24 years all the way to the Supreme Court. Oh, my employer made me do an IQ test to get this job. Yeah, okay. Well, I lost because I scored high. Yeah, well, it's too bad. What the judge said. I wonder. Shouldn't we be here from the city at some point?
Mark a minute, Richie.
No, I guess not. I guess not. It's as ridiculous as I'm supposed to care that these child molesters don't like me. Remember, I'm 130 pounds and anemic, and I know it. And these people keep pretending I'm running up on them and beating them up. And they know me from here and there, so they can judge my character But at the same point, they don't know why I have a problem with them. Or, right. I don't know these fucking people. Yeah, buddy, shove you on the. Yeah, March I got shoved here. April I got shoved here. And then I got the cops called on me both times. Apparently, I got charged for one of the incidents. This is hilarious. Well, we're not charging him for that. Oh, fine, walk away. Did you collect the video? It's exculpatory evidence, stupid. You were required to collect it. And guess what? You are culpable if you run the security camera system and don't save those things. When it's brought to your attention and you don't fucking archive them, yeah, you are. Yeah, you are. Well, that's what all that training certificates and shit for security guards was about 20 years ago. If you're going to hire them, you are culpable. If it's people you employed, you're still culpable.
Running for them 7 digits. Came back with a better vision. I ain't never switching. I'ma get this chicken. Crime pays, that's my way. Try to tell them, but they never listen. Fuck the ops, fuck the cops. I'ma make it millions when a Merry Christmas. I've been on it since Dipset. How they wanna get their lips wet. All these bitches used to try to swear me. Now I'm flexing on them with this pimp set. All I know that crime pays.
Magically, everything's just working perfectly. Wow. Oh, you know when you cuss out your computer or point out all its evil motivations and it just starts working again properly? Right. Don't be acting like you were there when I needed you most. After all that we've been through, you decide to let go and left me all alone. Something in now. I know that you needed time for much. Yeah. Can't take any chances, I had enough. You said that you could have better. I'll be wishing that I never met it. I'm still happy.
Taps into it. Like if we're not trying, every time the song plays, I notice my actions, everything is connected to the song. Yeah, it's weird. What are you talking to me? Look at the price on the jeans. I got no time for a tease. Money is all that I breathe. I got my tricks on my sleeve. My bitch a bit of a breeze. I just came out of the pool. Need to be speaking my truth. You never stepped in my shoes. I'm pulling up in a few. Niggas don't know what to do. I'm taking all of the loot. I got my feel from the bay. We can be sleeping all day. I got their blood in my veins. I got more gold on my chain. Nigga, I'm going insane. I'm taking all of the hate. I disappear like a ghost. I keep my ducks in a row. I keep that bitch on her toes. When you step into my zone, give me a hit on my phone. I get it over the low. Pull up on your block, roll up easy, chillin' with the homies makes it easier. I can sip on 40s, I can sip all this all night. I can sip on 40s, I can sip all this all night. Pull up on your block, roll up easy, chillin' with the homies makes it easier. I can sip on 40s, I can sip all this all night, man. I can sip on 40s, I can sip all this all night. What are you talking to me? Look at the price on the jeans. I got no time for a tease. Money is all that I breathe. I got my tricks on my sleeve. My bitch a bit of a freak. I just came out of the pool. Need to be speaking my truth. You never stepped in my shoes. I'm pulling up in a few. Niggas don't know what to do. I'm taking all of the loot. Taking it. focused on me. If you do it's okay, we stand, man. You ain't crazy, yeah, it's okay, you like cocaine.
White hot with a
Not to take me see inside the church. Sitting on my enemy's grave. We got what he deserve. I don't believe in that forgiveness shit. I'm glad he got murdered. My soldiers people let the bullets emerge. Not a picture singing for the devil missing the surface. This world's only brought me fame since the day of my birth. Police and the crooked games overtaking my nerves. Risky years of my life, sometimes I'm under a bird. I'm under pressure every day. I'm always
slugs bed with his thugs tears. When I liquor with blood tears, your 4 tears. We rock folks, fuck fear, no love here. Obviously black, you come in, the club here. This is the gutter with slugs bed with his thugs tears. When I liquor with blood tears, your 4 tears. We rock folks, fuck fear, no love here. Black, you come in.
Is Indian marriages are arranged marriages, and there are certain promises made. And one of the things that the father of the groom and the mother of the groom, the family of the groom, in other words, had promises. Oh, yes, yes, he's a very smart young man. You won't have any problem with him. So according to the reports, the groom reached the wedding hall. It was Saturday evening, and his barat, with his barat, his wedding party. But the bride, who was suspicious of his educational qualifications, asked him to recite the table of two before they could exchange garlands, which is the beginning of the ceremony.
Internet
The
radio,
barat is the
and
ceremony
whatever
of
the music
procession
plays. And there's
of the
you
groom's
guys on this
side
side. You're always
towards
on
the
this
wedding
side. by
venue.
default.
And they share the knot. The groom is seated on a decorated horse, and he leads the congregation of his friends and family, who are all dancing and singing and celebrating our walk from the home to the venue. Once the groom's procession or barat arrives at the
before
ceremony,
they could
the groom
exchange
signs
garlands, which is the beginning of the ceremony. The barat is the ceremonial procession of the groom's side towards the wedding venue, and they share the knot. The groom is seated on a decorated horse, and he leads the congregation of his friends and family, who are all dancing and singing and celebrating our walk from
What
home
specific
to the
religion
venue.
is this? Don't just say
Once the
Indian.
groom's procession or barat arrives at the ceremony, the groom's side and the bride's side exchange the greetings, and the groom proceeds to join the bride on the altar, which is known as the mandap. I'm not giving you a complete, I'm giving you an abbreviated course.
We know, but I'm not
Indian
even getting
weddings.
it. Come on.
Anyway, they do this exchange. But before the bride could begin her nuptials, she needed to know one thing. Was her groom telling the truth about his education? So on the altar in front of the guests, the bride tests the groom's basic math skills.
Oh, dude.
The groom's failure made it clear to the bride
How
that the
far off
groom and
was
his
he?
family had lied about his education.
Oh, how far off was he,
Disappointed,
though?
she walked off the mandap and called off the
If
wedding.
I get 70,
That's it.
is it
Yes,
60
for
now
sure.
to pass? Is it
And
60 or
everybody
70?
went home. No wedding. I
But
gotta
now you
tell
get rubber stamped.
there's
Everybody gets
something
70.
about that makes me think, we could
What's the
do
point of your
things like
story?
that every once in a while in
Whatever
our
the fuck
world.
this guy is.
I don't know how we'd work it in the various forms of religious ceremony. I don't know how we'd work it in a civil ceremony
I
in
want
City
this hanging
Hall,
on a
but
chain on my neck.
asking for the guy to recite
No, I
the
need the
2 times
biohazard
table
symbol in platinum.
doesn't sound like a lot. It was a lot. It was enough to keep the marriage from going forward. There is something that I like to pay attention to called Medium. It's, for want of a better description,
Better be good.
an online magazine, and it features all kinds of articles. Many things that often do. There's one in there right now that talks about
Watch your back. Sneaky every fucking day.
It might be an issue close to my heart, but he took too long to get to it.
Simply elementary, mathematics, trigonometry. Pull the trigger back and watch me fold up the whole monopoly. There's nothing stopping me. But you think I don't know that the cops is watching me? This ain't prophecy. No matter where you are, you're standing on my property. So you'll probably be beaten till you start to bleed. And once you hit the street, you know it's suicide. See you right here, she gets overdone. Hold the gun until I'm alone. So since today wasn't the day that God came back, we might as well hit the streets and sell a few more packs. Like dead away in the trap. For those that don't make it back, the next blunt I roll will be fat. In the cracks and the crevices where the hustlers eat. That's why you can find me grinding and supplying the streets. Some days I don't sleep, cause sleep could cost me money. And there's nothing funny about losing out on money. If I go broke, I'll be in the park robbing at the dark. It wouldn't be safe to take your fucking dog for a walk. When I'm born, I just spend it like it's nothing. Money comes and goes as quick as the wind blows. It's out the window, and then I'm back here again. Some days I wonder where my next to see the pen. Is today the day my life away? And if it is, then it's on to the afterlife to pay atonement for my sins. I can tell God it is what it is. Welcome to
It's laying in the gutter across the street from a school, basically adjacent to a playground and a park. Oh, that's where I found it.
Everything is just pieces, beans, alright. Next cities where I creep in the
Pretty
streets.
sure it's where I found that one. Yeah.
Beans, alright. Welcome to the land of pieces
Yeah.
and cream. Everything is just pieces, beans, alright. Next cities where I creep in the streets, but he didn't always serving pieces and beans all night.
Homie, y'all a pepper walking with rocks, while you always sizzle. Bright sizzle, your bitches licking the poppy sickle.
White hot with a
We the boy to the cutter legs, boy, where they cutter blades, where they cutter blades, in the hustle game. Gonna get the money made, gonna get the money made. To the cutter legs, to the cutter legs, boy, where they cutter blades, where they cutter blades, in the hustle game. Gonna get the money made, gonna get the money made. Shadows with the monsters looking out the paper city, see inside the church. Kissing on my enemy's grave, he got what he deserved. I don't believe in that forgiveness shit. I'm glad he got murdered. My soldiers beat up people, let the bullets emerge. Not a bitch is sinking for the devil, missing the surface. This world's only brought me pain since the day of my birth. Police
Flaming mattresses on the 427. Flaming at 407. Some would have 7. Highway 7. Yeah, wild card.
With my body, used to play the pepper soul with the fur. I took my whole business, shit to sit in the shirt. Remember me when I'm in the hearse. I'm in the fast lane, everything call me the curse. We the boy to the cutter legs, to the cutter legs. Boy, where they cutter blades, where they cutter blades. Gonna be no hustle game. Gonna get the money made, gonna get the money made. To the cutter legs, to the cutter legs. Boy, where they cutter blades, where they cutter blades. With the
They're alive. Well, I want to introduce you to Alan. As major collectors approaching
competition and they taking assess with me for breakfast because I'm a breakfast and wait for my enemy. I'm the streets until my blood is blood for me. Your black is dying, stepping quick to
Revenue collectors east to Bayview, or the collectors, right lane still blocked off with the crash. Then it's slow east to west, needed east to Salem, east 409, jammed up approaching Martin Grove to the 401 ramps, heading into that delay. From the 680 traffic center, here's Zach Bodie State.
And watch out for a family of geese eastbound 407 approaching.
I was real close. Some would have 7.
Control, they're sending a crew out to clear them.
No, but that's the game. I didn't win.
But in the meantime,
What do I pay double now?
Northbound DVP delays approaching Bloor to north of Lawrence. And on
No,
the
that's real.
slow
That's not a joke story.
16th Avenue, West Gardner.
No, that'll be like the RCMP standing there stopping traffic. Everybody will just stop. Of course, you gotta stop. You gotta stop.
On the right shoulder, eastbound QBW east of Walker.
People will be turning their engines off, so they don't know how long they're gonna be sitting there.
Walkers. With a look at the forecast, here's Natasha Ramsa High.
All right, we are in for some partly cloudy skies this evening, and then overnight tonight,
gonna
that's
double
my chance of
check.
some showers, especially through the west end. 3 degrees as you wake up to overcast skies,
Hey,
and tomorrow
why does it always rain over here?
Pop-up showers and thunderstorms are possible. They're going to be very
Never
isolated,
mind. I
but
need
could
it
give
to
some
rain.
brief heavy downpours after 2 p.m. The high, 14 degrees. Tonight, down to that low of 3 degrees. It's 9 degrees right now at Pearson.
This is 680 News.
It's May. We had Grapple yesterday.
Police are on the hunt for a kidnapper. Literally, they're searching for whoever's responsible for stealing a 3-month-old goat.
We're a
from
major
Riverdale
modern
Cabbage
cosmopolitan metropolis with 5 million people in the local area, and there's a stolen goat and a bunch of geese crossing the road. Is our 1 and 2 stories right now. No, that's real. That's real. And it snowed yesterday, and it's May. All the stereotypes are true.
The suspect or suspects entered the pen in the farm and stole a 3-month-old Nubian goat named Juniper.
The constable, Ed Parks, says Juniper has an identical twin sister at the farm, Justine, that was not taken, so the motivation for the theft is unknown. But no matter the reason, it's hitting hard for the people who like to come to the farm fence every day and watch the animals feed and play.
The mother must be despairing.
And it's really too bad that someone's stolen an animal. It's nefarious. It's unfortunate. Hope it gets found.
The city of Toronto operates this farm, and a statement from City Hall says when a goat like Juniper is still only 3 months old, she still needs her mother's milk to survive. A picture of Juniper is up at 680news.com, live outside Riverdale Farm by Mark Douglas.
While it's still
Don't go walking in public right about now.
It looks like you will be able to do it after all. The city says enforcement officers will be focused on issues that pose the biggest risk to public health and safety. 680's Phil Martino joins us live now with the explanation. Phil.
So, Jenna, so the city says enforcement teams will be focused on things like large gatherings or parties and stopping people from bringing large amounts of alcohol into public places. So individuals consuming an alcoholic beverage in a park with their household are not a priority for enforcement. In other words, if you're having a drink responsibly, they're not going to bother you. It was Councillor Josh Matlow who pitched the idea of allowing people to consume beer and wine in public parks.
You pour the vodka into the Coca-Cola can.
The city passed on that, but
Nobody knows the difference.
this is a step in the right direction.
I should have said that. Am I allowed to say? How come that's socially acceptable?
There are real issues for them to put their resources and attention to, rather than a couple having a glass of wine and a picnic blanket.
According
There's
to
a
Matlow,
part,
in a pandemic summer, we
a young
should
in
be encouraging
Eglinton, where
people
on
to
one
get
side
outside
it's a
where the
bunch of
risk of
people's
transmission of
backyards, and if they
COVID-19
step out of
is
their
far less
backyard into
likely.
the park
Martino,
with their
680.
drinks, they're breaking the
The
law.
Prime Minister speaking out about an Ontario PC party attack ad featuring him.
It's a campaign-style commercial.
Mutant COVID variants are flying into Canada.
In it, the Ontario PC party tries
Like
to
monkeys
lay the
from,
blame of the
Wizard of
third
Oz.
wave on the Prime Minister.
Gargoyle
Trudeau
too.
didn't close the borders when the pandemic started. He didn't close the borders when it got worse. Nobody wants a fourth wave.
The Prime Minister weighing in on this commercial today.
I recognize that the pressures that are on all Ontarians and that leaders are under a certain amount of stress right now. And some will choose to point fingers and lay blame.
What are
and
you
even,
talking about?
Engage in personal attacks. That's not my approach, and that's not, quite frankly, what Ontarians need.
Premier Ford, who's already
No,
named
see, how did
his
you pronounce
campaign
that word?
manager for next year's election, did not speak to the media today. He hasn't in a week. I'm Richard Southern.
Real
Ontarians
Ontarians
another
can't
day of a
say
little
that
over
word
3,000
properly.
new cases of COVID-19 in Ontario, with almost
I say that,
145,000
Ontario.
vaccinations.
Ontario.
680's Bowman Crutchy joins us with the daily details.
Ontario reports 3,166 confirmed cases of COVID-19 with 23 new deaths related to the virus. And while this is the second
deaths, not the same deaths.
3,000 cases,
New
the
deaths.
7-day
Like, they didn't come back to
average is
life.
actually declining
These are
once
different
again.
dead people.
Another key stat on the decline
Jesus
is
Christ.
the number of
Do you
people
really
in
think we
ICUs
don't know
with the
that they're
virus
new?
across the province at 858.
New deaths.
More than 51,000 tests completed with a test
They're the same
positivity
deaths
rate
they
of
count again, are they?
7%. But a note from the Ministry of Health says due to a technical issue with the laboratory data feed, today's case count may be underreported. A number that is on the rise is on the vaccine front, where the province reports over 144,000 doses administered yesterday, another one-day record. York Region planning to accelerate its vaccine rollout, with anyone 18 and up eligible for the shot as of the week of May 24th. And with Mother's Day this weekend, the province's health table once again recommending you don't celebrate in person indoors. I'm Bowman Qureshi.
COVID testing is expanding across the province. The Ontario government says it's in partnership with Ottawa and the Ontario
Domestic
Chamber of
terrorists.
Commerce. The Rapid Screening Initiative will provide free rapid tests for small and medium-sized business.
That
The
stormed
program applies to
Capitol Hill.
businesses allowed to be open
I'm
under
Bowman
current provincial
Qureshi. Holy
orders.
shit, bro. Chill out. You've been waiting to say that about a bunch of white people haven't you?
Police say their COVID-19 enforcement teams like more than 350 charges over the last week. It's
Not
up from
against white people.
338 tickets they issued their first week in action. The 16 teams are focused on large outdoor gatherings, as well as people attending house parties and eating inside bars and restaurants that should be closed to indoor dining. Staff Superintendent Randy Carter says the number of gatherings and parties police have
Aren't you a
investigated
baseball
across the
player or
city
something? Randy Carter.
remains concerningly high.
The
name
Trudeau
sounds
government is
familiar.
making an
Doesn't it?
investment
I don't like
helping
it
other
when cops'
nations
names sound
access
familiar.
vaccines and drugs, but no commitment yet on waiving patent rights in order to boost global production of the crucial shot.
And this COVID update, the
If
Prime
you
Minister's
don't, there's going to be
committing
people counterfeiting them, so you might as
$375
well.
million for an international accelerator that helps low and middle income
Haven't they already
countries
said there's
develop
fake
and produce
tests and
therapeutic
fake
drugs
test results and
vaccines
fake
for
masks
COVID-19.
and fake
But Justin Trudeau is not
rewashed,
committing Canada
reused
to a proposal
fucking
at the World
nose
Trade
swab
Organization
kits?
to
9,000
waive
people
intellectual
got a
property rights
used
for
nose
COVID
swab up
vaccines.
their fucking
Instead, he
nose.
says we'll engage in negotiations.
We've been working with partners at the WTO to find a consensus-based
So the nose
solution
swab could
and
have
are ready to
literally given you
discuss
COVID.
proposals.
Dr. Robin Wade with the International Development Group Results Canada is disappointed, saying countries that don't commit are only delaying the pandemic recovery.
Which will have devastating impacts in terms of lives lost.
Meanwhile, the Fed's also announcing a new program to make rapid tests more available in Canada by sending them to pharmacies and chambers of commerce to distribute to small and medium-sized businesses. Cormac McSweeney, Parliament Hill.
That makes sense, did it?
Gas prices are next.
Listen 3, 4, 5 times a day.
This is 680 News.
So, our mortgage approval is done?
Great news. The bank has approved you at a 1.55% rate.
What the what? That's way too high. Butler Mortgage is 1.15%.
Well, it cannot be the same as our bank's mortgage.
It's totally the same. 5-year variable rate, same features, no fees, 1.15%. I'm
That's
switching to
the
Butler
whole
Mortgage.
news, eh?
Enough
Holy
of making the
fuck.
banks rich.
License number 12118, high ratio variable rate, APR 1.16%.
The owners saying thank you so much for contributing to my business.
Well, because I think you obviously had it in you to understand something, and I think I understand it. These were establishments to most of us. Yeah, we like them, and we have a fond place in our heart for reasons you just outlined, but these were part of the family as far as the owners and the people who worked there were concerned. That's what they did. That was their life. And now, when it comes to an end, and maybe some of them have already said it has come to an end, they have to move on and do something else. And that's not always easy, and it's extremely sad. And I'm sure there have been plenty of tears shed over this.
Well, like, think about like how much, like, with business owners, how much they're at the whim of like of change, right? Like, so the way that they're affected by change, like, I'll give you an example, is that there's one restaurant, even during SARS 1, back in, like, the earlier 2000s, I remember that there was a Chinese restaurant that had to shut down around that time, that I still remember the taste of their broth. Like, that's how connected I was to that restaurant. I would go there every Friday. And when SARS 1 happened and it completely ravaged Toronto, I remember that restaurant shutting down, and there was like, it felt like there was like this hole in my week, and I thought about all the workers that were there, and just the way that the city is shifting in such terrifying ways. I felt that this was the only way that I could really just express the sorrow that I was having for all these people, and also all of my dear friends who are wait staff that haven't had jobs. It's just, it's a lot to carry. So it's the only thing I could do is just basically just bide my time with creating these pieces.
It makes me wonder what Toronto's going to be on the other side, and of course it makes us all
a whole lot of drug dealing and hooking
looks like altogether, and when it's coming. I wish you luck with this, because considering it's just been a pastime for you, and suddenly it's taken on a bit of a life of its own.
Maintain that credit rating on the national level.
To take a look at these in some kind of an exhibition somewhere, somehow, and let's hope it's soon.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure to have talked to you, and I wish you well with this. And I wish you well as we move forward, and as I keep saying, this too shall pass. Catherine, have a great day.
Thanks, and stay safe.
All right, that's Catherine Hernandez. She is an author, screenwriter, and obviously an artist, and doing something quite unique. So happy we had a chance to talk to her a little bit. Let's get some information on traffic. Here's Ari Rubinovich.
And Peter, on the 401, we are dealing with a collision on the eastbound side, eastbound collectors at Bayview, and it blocks the right lane with some delays as you make your way through the GTA. Pretty much from the Allen all the way through to Bayview, it's busy in both express and collectors, but it is in the collectors where we have the crash block in the right lane. On the west 401, there's a stall at Nielsen. It's blocking the right lane too. Slight delays on the approach. And also on the west 401 at the ramp to the Jamestown Parkway, earlier issues that in the right lane with a stall. And East QEW and Appleby line problems are clear. Answer the call to adventure with the performance, luxury, and capability of the 2021 Range Rover Sport. Visit your local Land Rover authorized retailer for special limited time
I want to hear about
offers.
the geese.
I'm already your benefits. Mobile News Radio 640 Toronto Shopper Traffic.
What do guests think of Tim's new vanilla cream cold brew coffee?
It's like smoke.
But first, let's talk about big tech regulation, because Congress and Tim, you're seeing a lot of conservatives who want some sort of regulation that would prevent tech platforms from making moderation decisions they don't like. Florida just enacted a law that purports to restrict how platforms can moderate politicians. I think that law is probably not going to stand up in court. But anyway, Tim, is there anything the government should be doing about this sort of issue?
No, but the instinct to try to do something about it is fully reasonable, because what we have here is something that doesn't fit into kind of American civil society and democracy, which is these giant platforms, which are almost like common carriers, which is the sort of legal definition of the phone companies and that sort of thing, that where we think there should be universal access to it. The AT&T can't say that I'm not allowed to talk to my brother because we're doing too much right-wing talking on the phone. They're barred by the government from doing it. But so these platforms, we look at them and we say they shouldn't allow stuff that are bad, but we also look at them and we say they can't ban us just because they don't like our politics. And I just think that the nature of Facebook and Twitter, these massive stages for the whole country where everybody wants only kind of decent content on there, but they don't want themselves to be kicked off. It's unprecedented. It's not something that we have a good response to. So I say no, because I think government getting involved will make it worse. I think the right will lose when government is telling platforms what to do and what not to. But I also say that I'm not happy just letting Facebook and Twitter kick off everybody they can, because it's not easy to just go and start another website. Look what happened when they started Parler. Amazon goes ahead and kicks them off their hosting service. So it's an unprecedented situation we're in.
So, Gustavo, Tim is still arriving at the conclusion that I think is the classic conservative conclusion, but a lot of other conservatives right now are not landing where he is, saying, even though I'm upset about this isn't the government's job to intervene, or the government will just make it worse if they get in there. Usually it's liberals who are more concerned about corporate power and the ability of big companies like this to control the nature of our discourse. And I mean, that's the way that, liberals have talked about, the
Paying off a mortgage is slow, but it doesn't have to be this slow. Tangerine starts you off with
en entreprise. Pour plus d'informations et inscriptions, rendez-vous sur relais.toronto@commercialcollegeboreal.ca ou téléphonez au 1-800-361-6673 ou sur le site collegeboreal.ca/programme relais logistique. L'AFRI, l'association des francophones de la région de York, tient un atelier le 13 mai prochain qui touche à l'arnaque et au signe d'arnaque en ligne. Cet atelier sera présenté en collaboration avec Lynn-Marie et Sophie de l'Agence du revenu du Canada, ARC. Plus d'infos et instructions à la rubrique événements du site grandtoronto.ca. Francofoot, une initiative de l'Association sportive des francophones du Grand Toronto, est un club omnisport francophone de l'Ontario. Pour la saison 2021, Francofoot offre une opportunité d'apprentissage du foot en français aux jeunes de 6 à 13 ans qui cherchent une pratique récréative ou une pratique compétitive. L'organisme facilite aussi l'obtention de stages dans des clubs professionnels pour les candidats qui font leurs preuves. Pendant la pandémie, Francofoot diffuse gratuitement chaque semaine des capsules visuelles sur YouTube et Facebook, axées sur des gestes techniques avec des extraits de matchs importants. Pour en savoir plus sur la saison 2021, rendez-vous sur francofoot.ca. Vous êtes femme entrepreneur dans la région du Grand Toronto, ne manquez pas tous les lundis.
So he founded a virtual cocktail class. He's an award-winning bartender, and they just had, is he successful? Their 1,000th virtual class, and they're going strong. Harry, how are you?
Let's try
thank
Sailor
you for trying.
Jerry and
It have to be bad right now. How can it be bad? Are you going somewhere and helping people learn how to mix drinks?
Yeah, I'm going to a little place called the World Wide Web. I don't know
heard about that one. But yeah, I've got a few classes tonight. I've got my my other bartenders working some classes. It's a busy Mother's Day weekend.
So obviously, like everything else, this is all done virtually, which is fine. The only thing you can't do is hand the person a drink and have them sip it. But if they're doing it right, they've got the same drink in their hand that you do.
Exactly. You know, that's sort of the beauty of what we're trying to do here at Virtual Cocktail Class is we're trying to break down all the barriers to entry to bartending, right? The mixologists, I'm not a mixologist, I'm a bartender. The mixologists out there have definitely tricked the general public into thinking making really delicious cocktails is harder than they think it is. So you can make a great drink with stuff you have in your kitchen, probably.
Okay, so let's make a drink. As it were, we're on the radio. I can't see you. You can't see me. But I have some. I'll pick one that I don't use. Gin. I've got some gin, which I keep because I have a friend who loves what he calls a Tanqueray martini, which is Tanqueray over ice. I think you know that. And that's an easy drink to make. But I have this gin. Then I have, I don't know, I have some limeade in the fridge, and I have some lemonade in the fridge. I probably have things like sugar, salt, celery salt. What can I do with that?
Totally. I mean, so one of our most popular cocktails is a little Prohibition-era classic called the South Side. It's called the South Side because it's from originally the South Side of Chicago, and it's so easy. It's a little bit.
We could sing that, man.
Totally, absolutely.
South Side of Chicago. Go ahead.
Oh man, they don't pay me to sing, and there's a good reason for that. For me either. But yeah, so if you want to make a little South Side, it's a couple shots of gin. We always like to make sure all of our drinks are at least a couple shots. We don't want to waste anybody's time, right? So 2 shots of gin, a little bit of lime juice. We probably steer clear of the limeade. We probably roll with some fresh lime juice because we want to be able to control the sweetness of the cocktail. Because the next ingredient we would add is a little bit of simple syrup that we make in the class. That's something we do basically in every class. We teach everybody how to make either a little simple syrup or a little honey syrup or some sort of agent to round out the cocktail. And the final ingredient in this bad boy is a little bit of mint, right? A little bit of fresh mint, or if you don't have fresh mint, you can even use a mint tea bag. Sort of steep your cocktail before you shake it to really infuse that cocktail with all sorts of wonderful mint flavor. So
that sounds like a summer drink if ever there was one.
Absolutely.
Okay, so interestingly, you have piqued my taste buds, and I'm saying to myself, maybe I should try a bit of that gin. But leave that alone. We'll put it over on the side, and I'll tell you that my ability extends to I pour some bourbon in a glass, and then I add a little bit of water, and then I roll it around a little bit, just a little, there it is, and that's my drink. That's the extent of it. But now that you've given me a complete description of how you would use those imaginary ingredients in my kitchen, I can't wait for Gusto 501 to reopen. Is it going to?
Totally. So I love the Gusto guys. They're amazing. They've been so supportive of this whole endeavor the entire time. And right now, I know they're furiously making all the takeout and delivery that they can possibly handle. So my understanding is I'm sure that the team at Gusto, I'm sure they are chomping at the bit to get back open, just like every other bar, every other restaurant in the city. And so hopefully, we can get these numbers under control. We can get back these into people's arms, and we can start going out and having a good time again.
Well, the bartender Gusto 501, I can meet you personally, and I'm going to find out if you're as good as they say you are. And I'm not saying you say you are; they say you are. So I want to dig a little bit deeper before I let you go. I know you have a class coming up about 5 o'clock. You, I think, spent about 2 weeks after Gusto closed down, under order, obviously, and said, I guess I'll watch some Netflix or whatever it is that you do. And you didn't get by 2 weeks without something triggering, I've got an idea. Tell us about that.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Well, it was a combination of a couple of things. 2 weeks of CNN and seeing a lot of sad pictures on Instagram of white wine with ice in it.
Yeah.
And sad looking Bud Lights just gets you thinking that people have the ingredients, right? People have sugar, people have honey, people have lemons, people have lime. And honestly, you don't need much more than that.
What is wrong
the combination of that and a buddy asking me to teach his girlfriend's Zoom birthday party, do a little cocktail class there. And we just had so much fun doing that the next day we built a little website, and that was 1,000 classes ago.
1,000 classes. So tell us a little bit about, I mean, there are probably a lot of people listening, so you're getting a great big commercial here, who are saying, I would like to do that. First of all, we know we may as well just suck it up and admit it. We're all drinking a little bit more. What are we going to do? We're sitting around, we're all drinking a little more. Yeah, I'll have a little cocktail. But now here's this guy, Harry Hansen, and he teaches people how to make cocktails. He's done it professionally as a bartender, going to do it again, and now he's just passed 1,000 classes. How do we get in touch with you? How do we get one of these courses?
Sold more lipstick.
You know what? You never believe it, but it's back on the World Wide Web. If you go to virtualcocktailclass.com, that's the website. That's us. You can submit a class request there. Drop a couple dates that you might be interested in. Tell us where you are also, because we have clients all over the world. We've taught people in Australia and Finland and Chile and Brazil and Argentina and the UK and France and Spain, all over the world. And so, yeah, you can get us into virtualcocktailclass.com. That's the website. The Instagram is the same, virtual cocktail class, @virtual cocktail class. And that's how you find us. That's the best way.
It's easy. Are you very expensive?
We are, you know what? We're actually not that expensive, especially considering...
He's going to teach
it's because
Australians
you're not treating them
how to drink.
It's because they maybe want to do their own thing. And as well, GustavoAriano.org, called Gustavo Ariano's Weekly.
Tim Carney, it's your soapbox.
When I was a kid, there was a great movie we all liked with a great soundtrack called Footloose about a small town in Iowa where dancing was banned. I'm now in that real-life small town. It's called Washington, D.C. The mayor has decided that weddings are allowed and the receptions are allowed, but no standing around at a reception and no
indoors
dancing. Now, what makes this particularly absurd is that D.C. is at the point where the mayor is begging people to get vaccinated. So if you're a D.C. resident who hasn't gotten a shot at this point, it's almost certainly because you have chosen not to get the shot. And that really changes the moral calculus of lockdowns or something like a dancing ban. That if you have a big dance party back in the late last year, well, you're not just exposing the people who choose to show up at your dance party, but then the people they might come in contact with, etc. Now, if someone shows up at your wedding reception and dances and gets sick, well, it's almost certainly a result of them making the decision to not get vaccinated. Government's ability to tell us what we can and can't do with our own life has to be premised on the idea that there are large negative externalities. With this moment where vaccinations have gone to almost every willing adult, we don't have that reason anymore to call for government to tell us what we can and can't do, and that includes dancing at our own wedding.
For my rant, I want to salute conservative Newsmax TV anchor Greg Kelly. He definitely should not be kicked off Twitter, unlike President Trump, because his Twitter is this almost amazing performance art where you can't quite tell when you look at it. Is this like a sincere Trumpy account, or is it a self-parody, or what? Most recently, Greg Kelly posted a photo of himself with the former president at what appears to be a golf club, wearing these very odd, tight, distressed cargo pants with a whole bunch of pockets and zippers all over the place and sort of bunching around his ankles. And a bunch of people were making fun of him for this on Twitter, and he responds, I'm going to read his tweet verbatim. He says, "Everyone busting my crackers over the pants," puts pants in quotation marks. He says, "The truth is they're Belmont, the most prestigious brand in pants. My shoes are by Ferragamo. Basically, I'm a sharp-dressed man. Thank you!" exclamation mark. A few months ago, he posted about going to McDonald's in the morning and being told that there was no McFish available. Of course, there's no sandwich called the McFish. It's called a Filet-O-Fish. He also called it McDonald's, like M-A-C, like it's Scottish. And then he says that he complained about the lack of a McFish, and they called him a male Karen.
I make both those mistakes, eh?
I cannot figure out if this is for real or not. Like, I feel like I get the joke, but I also kind of feel like I'm not in on the joke, and I love it. So anyway, Greg Kelly, I don't really care for your journalistic work that much, but your Twitter is fabulous. Please keep at it. That's all we have time for today. Thanks to Tim Carney and Gustav.
It's McDonald. It's McDonald's, not MacDonald. Okay, well, do you know how many people say McDonald's up here? Jesus Christ. Are you sure? I don't have a McDonald's package in my house, to be sure. Did these just have the letter? Hold on. I'm still don't believe you. I don't believe you. I got to check.
One of the big winners, Tilray up 14.4% to 19.
Goddamn. McDonald apostrophe S. Thank you.
Now at a record of 229 points to 34,777. S&P gained 30 points and the NASDAQ up 119. So it's pretty big gains here today despite disappointing jobs numbers. Cryptocurrencies are high. We got Dogecoin up 9%, 64.7 cents US. And the Canadian dollar jumping to 82.41 cents US. Little Juniper is on the lam. There's a goat napping at Riverdale Farm. We'll take you there live. The top stories are next on 680 News.
The Maranello Alfa Romeo and Alfa Romeo Oakville Spring Acceleration Event is on now. It's the best time to drive an Alfa Romeo with limited time lease rates starting at 2.99% and payments as low as $277 bi-weekly on the Stelvio TI SUV or $300 bi-weekly on the Giulia TI. Plus, get driver assist features, Apple CarPlay, and navigation at no extra charge. Visit MaranelloAlfaRomeo.com or AlfaRomeoOfOakville.com to book your appointment today. Offer cannot be combined with any other Alfa Romeo offer. HST Extra. See dealer for details.
License 10349.
My apartment is $300 bi-weekly. Hold on. What time isn't the best time to drive an Alfa Romeo? God damn. Is there going to be any official update from any? The Prime Minister was supposed to speak today. I got a feeling they didn't cover it. I just got a feeling because I haven't heard any proper what's the word? Op-ed pieces, I guess you would call them.
Conditions for Hickory Dickory Decks. Celebrating over 30 years of custom decks and happy customers. Hickory Dickory Decks offers the widest selection of low maintenance decking. Enjoy life outdoors. Visit decks.ca.
And Markham, partly cloudy, 11 degrees. Bradenton, partly cloudy, and 9. Downtown Toronto, more sun than cloud, and 9 degrees. The news.
That's the correct. That's the correct pronunciation too. The road. Yeah, my connection's unstable. Why? Because it's the hour. Wow, you're so creative. Dump. Every hour. Let us know where you are.
Baby goat has been stolen from Riverdale Farm.
Would have been crying out for their mother because of being so young.
Now the search is on to find Juniper.
You can enjoy a beer in a Toronto park without fear of being ticketed. The city says individuals consuming an alcoholic beverage in a park with their household are not a priority for enforcement.
As long as Ontario continues to vaccinate as many people as possible, one epidemiologist says we can expect to see a sharp decline in cases, possibly by the end of the month.
Blue Jays and Astros open a weekend series in Houston tonight, and we'll tell you why Rasmus Sandin won't be in the Leafs lineup tomorrow. Sports at 15.
TSX up for a 10th week in a row and closing in an all-time high. Business at 26.
680 News Time, 501.
Traffic weather together all is brought to you by TSC Airborne Chopper 680 Air Jordan.
I'm flying around this crash on the eastbound 401 east of Winston Churchill. We have the left lane blocked up with a collision. It was either 2 vehicles left over and 3 tows, or we have 1 vehicle left over and 4 tows. Don't know why they don't get this out of here. 1 car just got towed away, so just sitting here, not sure what they're doing. No police on scene or MTO or any other emergency.
Oh, shit's gonna get heavy.
Half an hour at this point. Eastbound 401 is jammed solid, approaching Jamestown Parkway to east of Winston Churchill. Take an alternate and rejoin at Mississauga Road. After that, delays 427 to the 400 and approaching Keele to Leslie, alternately expressing collectors. Also slow through Salem and East 409, slow Martin Grove to the 401 ramps. West 401 delays Baby to Avenue in the collectors, through Avenue in the express, then from the Allen towards Islington.
Hey, whatever the keys.
At Islington in the express, right shoulder blocked off with another crash. Westbound 401, then slow west of here, Ontario Express made as collectors to approaching Mississauga Road. At West 401, just before Jamestown Parkway, we still have the ramp lane blocked up with the stalled vehicle, and it's backed up now from the 407. The 680 traffic center, here's Sackville BC.
It's busy across the GTA. We have some issues as well. Northbound 410, the right shoulder occupied with a stalled vehicle at Clark. It's slow from approaching Steeles. And then East QEW slow from approaching 3rd to Ford Drive. And a crash east of Mississauga Road is jamming things solid from Southdown. We have tow trucks on scene through here. And then again, just typical volume, very busy across the GTA. In Oshawa, eastbound Taunton down to a single lane east of Harmony for a crash. Support back and spine health with the Teeter Fit Spine X3 inversion table available at TSC. Get it today and save over 30%. Shop TSC.ca. With the forecast, here's Natasha Ramsahai.
We've got some sunny breaks now. We've got showers, though, on the way tonight. Not for everyone. It really is going to target the west end here of the GTA. So out through York, Durham,
Going to stay dry and 3 degrees as you wake up to overcast conditions in the morning. A little bit breezy out of the northwest tomorrow, but we'll take it, especially with that midday sunshine at 14 degrees. You do have to keep your eyes to the sky in the afternoon. After 2 p.m., could see some very brief pop-up afternoon, non-severe thunderstorms. Overnight tonight, down to a low of 3 degrees. It's currently 9 degrees at Pearson.
680 News Time 503.
Well, a popular farm in the city has turned into a crime scene. A theft there has Toronto police searching for at least one suspect.
You don't get any updates at all
Douglas
today?
is at Riverdale Farm in Cabbagetown and joins us live with the story. Mark.
Slojana, a little baby goat, only 3 months old, has been allegedly stolen
Did the
from
geese get
Riverdale
across the
Farm,
road?
and that's breaking the hearts of people who like to
Can't
come
leave
see
us
the
hanging
animals
like
here
that.
from the fence every day.
And the person who stole it has no conscience.
Walking Canada is very much working to find a solution that works for everyone.
Trudeau's comments come as the U.S. says it will support a proposal to waive IP protection to help boost the global COVID-19 vaccine supply. The EU also says it's willing to discuss the proposal. The goal is to allow nations to produce more COVID-19 vaccines using formulas and techniques already established by companies leading the effort. Who steals a goat? That's the question Toronto police are trying to solve. Global's Jason Chapman reports on the kidnapping at the Riverdale Zoo.
Add this to the list of bizarre animal stories out of Toronto. We've had a missing capybara, dead raccoon T.O., a peacock on the lam, and now this, the case of a missing goat.
Peacock? What?
Juniper, a 3-year-old goat, was stolen sometime earlier this week from Riverdale Farm. Police say someone entered a pen
Canada,
between
hey, like
Wednesday
you go
evening and
skiing
Thursday
in
morning
June,
and
right?
left with
Yeah,
the Nubian
sometimes.
goat.
Shut up.
Juniper weighs about 30 pounds with black and silver fur, brown legs, and white ears. The kid has an identical twin who is left in the pen unharmed. Jason Chapman. Global News.
Listen to us on Apple CarPlay and Android
That's why
Auto
nature
through the
does
Radio
that.
Player Canada app. Ross Stripling is scheduled to start tonight as the Blue Jays open a 3-game set in Houston against the Astros. Toronto is in the midst of a 10-game road trip following a 4-game split with the Oakland Athletics. After Houston, it's a stop in Atlanta against the Braves. Outfielder George Springer won't be in the lineup against his former team. He's dealing with a quad injury. Toronto FC is adding some experience to its back line. The club announced that they've acquired Jamaican international defender Kamara Lawrence from Belgium's Anderlecht. A 28-year-old player under Toronto FC. He played under Toronto FC GM Ali Curtis and coach Chris Armas during their time with the New York Red Bulls. The forecast from the Global News Weather Center: cloudy tonight, a low of 4. Tomorrow, some afternoon showers possible, high of 13, and a low of +4. Rain possible again on Sunday, a high of 10. It's 9 degrees in downtown Toronto. I'm Danny Longo. This is Global News Radio, 640 Toronto.
I'm not listening to that. Hey, Franco. Your delivery driver's listening to this.
Je n'ai plus rien à prouver. Ils t'ont rôdé. Ils t'ont rôdé. Ça continue. En Israël, dans le rouge de ton
Due to a technical issue with laboratory data feed, today's case count may be underreported. Ontario setting another one-day record high in vaccines, administering over
100
For the second straight day, the province reported more than 3,000 new COVID-19 infections, but it also administered around 144,000 vaccine doses. Now, an epidemiologist with the University of Toronto, Dr. Trippz, says mass vaccination has helped to dramatically decrease.
Un prolongement de la ligne Yonge North qui devrait prolonger la ligne 1 de la Commission des transports de Toronto de 8 km de Finch jusqu'à Richmond Hill. Évidemment, un agrandissement du réseau de métro à Toronto, c'est une bonne nouvelle pour la plupart d'entre nous parce qu'on le sait, le réseau torontois est complètement sous-évalué et pourtant les résidents d'un certain quartier de la ville reine disent avoir été aveuglés par le projet de Metrolinx de construire ce nouveau système de métro quasiment sous leur maison. À quoi ressemble exactement cette route qui n'a pas encore été déterminée? Eh bien, deux options initialement proposées comprennent des trains de métro qui se déplacent vers le nord suivant un chemin relativement droit, suivant la rue Yonge en fait. Mais la deuxième proposition, baptisée en fait option 3, a mis en colère certains propriétaires d'un quartier de Royal Orchard, une communauté aisée à la périphérie de Markham et Thornhill, tout simplement parce que le métro devrait passer sous les maisons de certains habitants, ce qui occasionnera évidemment, on s'en doute, beaucoup de problèmes, de vibrations, de bruit et peut-être même de fuite. Ou encore d'autres choses pas très amusantes. En tout cas, la ligne comprendrait 4 stations, Bridge, Clark, Steeles et une quatrième qui est toujours en cours de dénomination, de détermination. Et d'après le communiqué de presse de Metrolinx, l'option 3 serait moins chère à construire et elle irait plus rapidement aussi. Et c'est donc la raison pour laquelle Metrolinx penche pour cette option, ce qui évidemment déclenche la colère de cette communauté de Royal Orchard. Jusqu'à présent, plus de 1100 personnes ont déjà signé une pétition qui a été lancée par le conseiller de Markham, Keith Irish, pour empêcher que cette option 3 ne soit choisie. Le comité Stop Option 3 et la Royal Orchard Ratepayers Association ont déjà amassé plus de 13 000 $, paraît-il, pour une campagne médiatique de lobbying et des frais juridiques. C'est notre confrère BlogTO qui nous relaie cette information. Et un rassemblement a même été prévu. Ce sera pour le 15 mai prochain, le long de la rue Yonge, pour sensibiliser à l'extension. Côté Metrolinx, on assure que même si l'option 3 était choisie, les résidents ne souffriraient pas, ils ne seraient pas affectés par le bruit et les vibrations. Les tunnels en béton armé se trouvent à au moins 14 mètres sous la surface de la communauté Royal Orchard, a déclaré le porte-parole de Metrolinx, Scott Money. C'est plus profond que de nombreux tronçons de lignes de métro existantes à Toronto et suffisamment profond pour éviter tout impact direct sur les maisons au-dessus. C'est l'agence donc de Metrolinx qui le déclare encore une fois. Toujours est-il que pour le moment, la communauté Royal Orchard n'est pas convaincue.
On l'a trouvée plutôt jolie, Lily. Elle arrivait des Somalies, Lily. Dans un bateau d'émigrés qui venaient tous de
make it all the way to Royal Orchard. Got money.
Elle croyait qu'on était égaux, Lily. Au pays de Voltaire et d'Hugo, Lily. Mais pour Debussy, en revanche, il faut de noir pour une blanche, ça fait un sacré distinguo. Elle aimait tant la liberté, Lily. Elle rêvait de fraternité, Lily. Un hôtelier de secret temps lui a précisé en arrivant qu'on ne recevait que des blancs. Elle a déchargé des cajots, Lily. Elle s'est tapée les sacs-boulots, Lily. Elle crie pour vendre les choux-fleurs. Dans la rue, ses frères de couleur l'accompagnent au marteau-piqueur. Et quand on l'appelait Blanche-Neige, Lily, elle se laissait plus prendre au piège, Lily. Elle trouvait ça très amusant.
But it would certainly maybe September, we're done in Ontario, which means the only people who aren't going to be vaccinated will be young kids who can't be vaccinated and people who have said no. So exactly where would a fourth wave come from?
So this is the unfortunate thing about the vaccination. We still have to do it as much as we can. Don't take me wrong. But we can't totally stop the virus because of vaccination. It's delivered huge dividends in terms of reducing the number of people in the hospital, especially protecting people in long-term care. The death rates, even associated with the current third wave, are way lower than even the first and second wave because we protected a certain group of people. So we have younger people ending up in ICU, but they're worth saving. We bust our butts to save them, and they pull through and they don't die, but they sure cause stress on the healthcare system, and that's what we're seeing right now. The problem with the vaccine is that it's not 100%. So you're going to still get some breakthrough infections, not many. And if people do get breakthrough infections, they're not going to be flattened by the virus, but they can still transmit it. And then if we have new variants evolve with this virus, and the variants develop because there's so much immunity in the population, the virus, if it had a brain, it has to be smart and learn to infect more people. It
DNA-based computer is the fastest computer.
It can then get people who have immunity even from prior infection or from the vaccine. And that's how you get a new set of waves, probably in the fall. But the waves each time get less and less because it's dealing with an immune population rather than a so-called virginal population, a population that hasn't seen the virus before, as we saw in the first, second, and third waves. So I'm being optimistic. We'll have to be very careful in the fall and prepare for another wave. It may end up being wasteful, but I don't think we should be planning on a wave taking off through these summer months based on our prior experience and also based on what's going on in other provinces that haven't been so restrictive, especially BC. Because if letting go of any restrictions is going to lead to a takeoff, letting go of some restrictions would just take us to where BC is now, and they're not seeing a takeoff. So there's your case in point.
So putting no words in your mouth, there's no fourth wave that we can perceive right now. That makes what we're listening to and reading a bit of a fear factor.
It's not, though. That's not how that works. You throwing words together don't make up a different reality.
Diagnosed, or at least positive tests, I guess I should put it in the right terms, for today. We've got 23 additional deaths. We have an R number that is below 1, so it's at 0.92. And we have many more resolved cases than new cases.
There's no staff
who's
to
been
replace
asking
the
these
staff
questions
you
of
have.
guys in your profession
Their
for
ambulance
almost
is on
a year and a half
strike.
now on
The
radio.
ICUs are full.
That sounds reasonably optimistic to me.
So what I'm seeing here is a political angle. I think by talking about a fourth wave imminently, it justifies ongoing restrictions, some of which are unnecessary, many of which are unnecessary as things get better. And so it allows the government not to move and make any changes, because sometimes it's very easy to just impose a restriction and sit back and never lift any of them. But we know that we've overshot. The playground one was the greatest example everyone knows about. But there are other ones that are overshoots. You don't have to close golf courses and tennis courts and basketball courts and baseball diamonds and kids sports and day camps. There's a whole bunch of things we could open up. Patios, people can be at parks. People could drink at parks. It'll help the government revenues if they can drink at parks. I'm just kidding.
Why doesn't every fucking restaurant and store have a walk-up window?
Causing huge resurgence of the
virus. Why are you doing things the hard way?
Nothing wrong with watching it. We've got to watch it. We can also lift restrictions bit by bit and watch for a week after you do a few things. You don't have to do it all at once. But staying in lockdown, let's just batten down the hatches and the sun is shining.
Wow, damn it.
I think it gets to be weird. Things are getting better. At least the healthcare system, the strain is going down. It's not a picnic yet. The intensive care unit strain is going to last for a few more weeks, even as the numbers of cases are going down, because the sickest people are still in the hospital, and they can end up in the intensive care unit for a couple of weeks, even after the new transmissions are dropping in the communities. You can't see an abracadabra shutdown of cases in the hospital, just because the numbers went down by 1%, in percent positivity last week or something. It's not going to be like that. It's not it's a cruise liner being tried. It's not a little rowboat.
So stop being told to be a pessimist and start being an optimist. There's a guy who writes to me. I think he writes to everybody, and he likes to write running commentary.
If you think differently than them, it's because Justin Trudeau told you to.
About this, he said, "Don't be ridiculous," or words to that effect. You know that there will be a fourth wave, and after that there'll be a fifth wave, and after that there'll be a sixth wave, because it's the only way that they can control you. I'm not buying that at all. As a matter of fact, I would advance this theory. I don't know if I'm not going to try to put you in a corner and say agree or disagree, but my view is this better resolve itself pretty damn soon, or you're going to have a bunch of very angry people, and very angry people, even in peaceable Ontario, can do a lot of damage.
Well, I think it's political caution rather than taking any risks. I don't think it's trying to control people as much as just too much political caution and not learning from others who've tried things differently. And also a lesson needs to be learned by this government. Every time they impose a restriction, they have a very hard time getting out of it. So think 10 times before doing it, because once you're down that path, you can't get out of it. It's back to my speed limit analogy that I've used before. Once you lower the speed limit to 100 on the 401, it takes 35 years for people to talk about putting up to 110 as a pilot project. It can be like that, where you're easier to restrict than to let it go. I'm not saying it should be the Autobahn on the 401 either, but I'm just saying that's the analogy, that sometimes it's easier to put a restriction in and say, if we increase the speed limit, people will be wild and things will be worse. It's the same idea. We put these restrictions in. If we relax the restrictions, abracadabra, it will take off and go into a volcanic surge. It's not axiomatic. It's not like that.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see the way things unfold, and very particularly approximately 2 weeks from now, which is the proposed time where we're supposed to see all of this lifted. And I shouldn't say all of this, some of it lifted, so we get back some of our, let's call them perks and privileges, and maybe we stop hearing about if we let cars across the border, we're going to get a fourth wave, because I don't think that works, and I think a lot of people are saying as much. Thank you very much, Dr. Rao.
Thanks for having me again.
Always a pleasure. Dr. Neil Rao, he's assistant professor in the Department of Medicine at the University of Toronto. Stay tuned, everybody. We're going to give you traffic, but after that, we're going to come back with topics worthy of discussion with Mitzi Hunter and Mike Schreiner joining us today. First, let's find out what's happening on the roads. Here's Ari Rabinovich.
Well, Peter, on the east at QEW, east of Mississauga Road, there's still 2 left lanes blocked with this collision. Emergency crews on the scene of this one. Traffic's hardly moving from before Aaron Mills to past Mississauga Road. Alternate routes are starting to look like a good option. And also on the West 401 at the right to the James Snow Parkway, right lane still blocked to the stall, but very minor delays here. A couple of collisions as well in town, including Lawrence and Dufferin and Mount Pleasant south of Eglinton. Let's get Toronto vaccinated. Get the COVID vaccine when it's your turn. Book online at toronto.ca/COVID-19 or call 888-999-6488. How about your Beneficence? Global News Radio, 640 Toronto. Shopper traffic.
Divorce can bring out the worst in human behavior. If you're worried about losing your children, selecting the right lawyer will have a major effect on your case and your life. Brian Ludmer understands your situation. With extensive experience in both family law and business law, Brian Ludmer, author of The High Conflict Custody Battle, offers a better perspective on solutions so that your children don't suffer in the process. And that makes him the ideal choice. Brian Ludmer. Visit ludmerlaw.com. That's ludmerlaw.com.
Well, if you're looking for wood, don't park up the wrong street.
Help you open your doors with confidence. Already! Visit Cintas.ca and get ready for the workday. Traffic and weather together on the ones brought to you by 407 ETR Airport Chopper 680. It's Jordan.
A number of issues on the 401, East 401 approaching James Snow Parkway. Left lane blocked up with a crash. Tows on scene. It's backed up from just east of Highway 25, really slow, and then jammed up east of James Snow Parkway to east of Winston Churchill. You still see the left lanes blocked up with a crash. A couple of tows on scene, and no other emergency crews, so that's it. Plan an alternate through here, through Milton and into Mississauga. Take eastbound Derry, eastbound Steeles. Both are moving far better. Eastbound 401 after that, slow from the 427 to Leslie, alternately expressing collectors. Upper Victoria Park to Kennedy in the collectors. East 409 delays, Martin Grove to the 401, heading into that slowdown. West 401 delays, maybe to Avenue collectors through Avenue in the Express. Then from the Allen and both Express in collectors to Islington, where the Express, the right shoulder is blocked up with a crash, so it's heavier in the Express lanes. Then typical delays west of Pure Ontario Express, west of Avis collectors towards Mississauga Road, and then jammed up from the 407 to approaching James Snow Parkway, where the ramp lane's blocked off with a stalled vehicle. vehicle that has been there since 2:30. A tow has arrived on scene during my last report. It must have showed up, which is still insane that it took that long for it to get a tow out there. But they finally have one there, so hopefully we can get this out of here soon. It's really heavy again west on the 401 from the 407 to approaching Jamestown Parkway. From the 680 traffic center, here's Zach Bovenstein.
Well, it's busy with volume across the GTA, but we have some issues as well. Northbound 410 at Clark, stalled vehicle on the right shoulder, slow from Steeles, and then busy from Queen to Beauvert. Eastbound QBW, first off, delays approaching 3rd to 4 Drive, and then east of Mississauga Road, this crash is still blocking the 2 left lanes, a bunch of crews on scene, so it's slow from southbound. 407 ETR's added to its all-virtual award-winning customer service team with live chat to help serve drivers on and off the road. Visit 407etr.com. With the forecast, Natasha Ransahai.
All right, thanks, Zach. We're looking at 3 degrees here overnight tonight. Now, while we're sleeping, west end, you may get into some brief showers and thunderstorms. The east side will stay dry, and it's going to be cloudy to start tomorrow morning, but that sun will be out. So if you're heading out middle of the day, pack the shades, and then watch the skies after 2 p.m. Could pop up some afternoon showers and thunderstorms. Very brief, isolated, but some heavy downpours are possible at 14 degrees. 1 degree start to Mother's Day. Very little sunshine to start in the morning. It's going to be pretty cloudy through much of the day. 13 degrees, and we'll keep the evening rain. Again, that west end, the target for that on Sunday night. Back to sunshine Monday and 13 degrees. Overnight tonight, down to a low of 3 degrees. Right now, we're sitting at 9 degrees at Pearson.
Coming up at the bottom of the hour, police say they're attempting to locate a goat that was stolen at a break-and-enter at Riverdale Farm. No kidding. This is 680 News.
Your performance at work is getting worse, your health is getting worse, and your doctor wants you to take time off to make a disability claim. But should you? My name is Aaron Waxman, and if you're too sick to work and have questions about your long-term disability claim, call me at 416-661-4878. And don't worry about upfront legal fees, because there are none. At my law firm, my team of lawyers only get paid when you get paid. And before you call, you should always remember that there are no bad questions. 416-661-4878 or on your cell phone at pound LTD.
Know the moment it happens.
Subscribe to 680 News. Breaking news alerts.
Powered by the Monitoring Center Home Security. Now partnered with Tag Dispatch.
Visit 680news.com. It's Friday Richie in 60 seconds.
Everyday Canadians are buying homes and getting the wrong mortgage rates. Important announcement. If you have a home mortgage closing in the next 90 days, 1.15% 5-year variable rate mortgages are available at butlermortgage.ca. No matter what you were told or what you signed, you can still switch to 1.15% 5-year. No gimmicks, no fees. Standard mortgages at 1.15% 5-year variable. To learn if you qualify, go to butlermortgage.ca now.
License number 12118, high ratio variable rate, APR 1.16%.
Hi, Anthony Longo here with the hot tip. Our delicious hot bar is now full service. Yep, the tastiest foods prepared fresh in-store and served up for you, ready to take home. Or have them delivered by Uber Eats. And for just $10, you can get tasty meals like meatballs and pasta. Order in-store or online for takeout. It'll be the best $10 you'll spend all week. Or next week, or the week after that. For quality that meets your family standards, trust ours. Longo's.
This is brought to you by Butler Mortgage. Richie.
Good evening. Air Canada opened up its books to again reveal a lot of red ink. The airline reporting a first quarter loss of $1.3 billion. And the airline CEO calling on Ottawa again to ease travel restrictions, saying that the current mandatory hotel quarantines for arriving passengers has, he says, proven ineffective. Air Canada, though, talked about where it sees travel demand going, and investors kind of like this. So Air Canada said it expects domestic travel to lead the recovery soon, as was the case in the United States. It says the peak summer leisure travel, trips to Europe that usually happen in July and August, Air Canada says it expects to be pushed to September and October. As far as corporate travel, something that's very important to Air Canada, it says that will likely come back after Labor Day. Last month, Air Canada reached an aid deal with the federal government for $5.9 billion, allowing it to refund customers. But the airline today said refunds are slower than expected, despite it proactively reaching out to affected customers. Air Canada stock was up 3.1% at $24.92. And it was a high-flying Friday for the broader markets. The TSX higher for a 10th straight week and going out at a record high. It was up 181 points to 19,472. The Dow at a record up 229 to 34,777. S&P at a record up 0.75%, and the NASDAQ up 119 points. Disappointing jobs numbers on both sides of the border, but it had investors thinking interest rates will stay lower for longer. Big winner on Bay Street, Tilray. Shares of the cannabis producer up more than 14% on an analyst upgrade. Canadian dollar jumps to 82 1/3 cents US. This is 680 News.
It's just common sense. A FlexiFund by Capital Direct allows you to manage your funds more effectively and gives you that financial peace of mind. Think of it as secure lending so you can do all the things you've been dreaming about, whether it's a basement renovation or taking care of tuition. It's the smart move that allows you to take only what you need when you want it. Whether you could use $50,000 or $1.5 million, that cash is available to you. Call Capital Direct today at 1-800-NEW-CAPITAL. CA. She helped you take your first steps. She walked you to the playground, walked you to school, walked the dog you promised you would walk. Mom never slowed down and always stepped up, and she's still on the go. At Evolution Walkers, we know the importance of mobility. That's why this Mother's Day, we're proud to offer Mom the safest, most stable walkers on the market. Foldable, lightweight, and available in her favorite color. Visit evolution.ca. Evolution Walkers, helping Mom be Mom.
Now the extendo forecast. Tonight, partly cloudy, 6 degrees. Overnight, mainly cloudy, isolated showers, 3. Tomorrow morning, cloudy, 7. Tomorrow afternoon, mix of sun and cloud, risk of a thunderstorm, and 14 degrees. Sunny skies in downtown Toronto, 9 degrees. 680 News time at the Double Tones will be 5:30.
Toronto's #1 for breaking news, traffic, and weather. This is 680 News.
Good afternoon. This is Friday, May 7th. I'm Sljana Timinsik.
And I'm James Monroe. Here's what you need to know.
Toronto police need to find Juniper, a little baby goat they say was stolen from Riverdale Farm.
It's a terrible crime, and the person who stole it has no conscience.
Looks like you'll be able to enjoy a drink in a Toronto park after all. The city says people consuming an alcoholic beverage in a park with their household are not a priority for enforcement officers.
An epidemiologist says Ontario could see a sharp decline in COVID-19 cases by the end of the month as long as we don't loosen restrictions and continue to vaccinate province-wide.
The Blue Jays have recalled Rowdy Tellez, and he is in the lineup for tonight's ball game in Houston. And we'll chat about the 40-goal scorer, Austin Matthews, sports at 45.
The Bulls go for a run into the weekend. The TSX closes at a record high. Bay Street rises for 10 weeks in a row. Business at 56.
680 News time, 5:31.
Traffic and weather together on the ones brought to you by Hickory Dickory Decks in Chopper 680. Here's Jordan Kerr.
A couple of issues on the go on the 401, flying over the eastbound 401 just before Jamestown Parkway. We still have the left lane blocked off with a crash. A couple of tows on scene. It looks like they're waiting for police to get here because they're just standing around and waiting. Everyone's outside talking to each other right now. Eastbound 401 is jammed up from Highway 25 to approaching Jamestown Parkway. Then eastbound 401 is jammed up from east of Jamestown Parkway to east of Winston Churchill, where the left lane is blocked because of another crash. Same story here. Everyone's just waiting for police to arrive. Just a couple of tows waiting and to get this out of here. Eastbound 401 is backed up again east of Jamestown to east of Winston Churchill. So through Milton into Mississauga, a horrible drive on the east 401 because of those two crashes. Take Derry or Steeles as alternates to rejoin at Mississauga Road. On the west 401, it looks like we have a new issue approaching Fix, a bit slow from just west of Stevenson. Then westbound 401 is jammed up from the Allen Express and Collectors to Islington, where in the Express, the right shoulder is blocked off with the crash. Then heavy west of Huron-Ontario Express, west of Mavis Collectors to approaching Mississauga Road. And good news, that stalled vehicle west 401 approaching Jamestown Parkway is finally gone, but it's still backed up from the 407. And for the 680 Traffic Center, here's Zach Bodie.
Well, some new problems on the go westbound Gardner approaching the 427 ramp. It looks like problems have been moved onto the shoulder, but it's still heavy from Islington and the Express and Collectors jammed up towards that ramp. If you're headed north on the 4 410. The problem at Clark is gone. Still busy from Steeles up to Beauvert. And eastbound QEW is still of that crash east of Mississauga Road. The two left lanes are blocked. It's jammed from approaching southbound. Celebrating over 30 years of custom decks and happy customers, Hickory Dickory Decks offers the widest selection of low-maintenance decking. Enjoy life outdoors. Visit decks.ca. Let's get a look at the forecast now. Here's Natasha Ramsahide.
And a little bit of sun came out this afternoon, so that's nice. And we will see some tomorrow midday as well. Tonight, we do have to watch for some showers. Slight risk of thunderstorms out through the west end. A cloudy start tomorrow at 3 degrees. But again, midday sunny breaks possible before we pop up some afternoon showers and 14 degrees. Overnight tonight, down to a low of 3 degrees. It is currently 9 degrees at Pearson.
This is 680 News.
Toronto police are searching for suspects in connection with a theft at Riverdale Farm in Cabbagetown.
680's Mark Douglas is there and joins us with the bizarre story of what was stolen.
It's a little baby goat called Juniper. She's only 3 months old, and somebody, for some reason, has allegedly stolen her from Riverdale Farm. It's upsetting news, to say the least, for people who like to watch the animals from the fence here every day.
It's a terrible crime. It's so sad. And the mother must be despairing, and the person who stole it has no conscience.
And there's a little twin sister goat, too, an identical twin sister baby goat.
You're just popping it on.
Juniper was taken sometime between 5:30 Wednesday evening and 7 a.m. Thursday, and she did not simply wander off. The fence to the goat pen here is 4 feet high, and police found evidence of someone, maybe multiple suspects, jumping the fence. Staff at the farm have told police Juniper would likely have been crying out for her mom, being that young. Outside Riverdale Farm, I'm Mark Douglas.
Drinking in city parks will remain illegal this year after the city passed on a proposed pilot project. However, enforcement officers won't exactly be paying close attention to those who decide to bring an alcoholic drink while visiting. 680's Phil Martino joins us live now with those details. Phil.
So, Jana, you will actually be able to enjoy an alcoholic beverage in a Toronto park without fear of being ticketed, the city says. The enforcement team will be focused on issues that pose the greatest risk to public health safety, like large gatherings and stopping people from bringing large amounts of alcohol into public places. So individuals consuming an alcoholic beverage in a park with their household are not a priority for enforcement. In other words, they won't be cracking down on illegal drinking in the park. Councillor Josh Matlow pitched the idea to allow alcohol in parks this summer, but the city took a pass on his plan. He says, while it's not exactly the approach he requested, he welcomes the announcement.
And especially during the pandemic summer, we should be encouraging people, rather than gathering indoors, to get outside, where the risk of transmission of COVID-19 is far less likely.
Matlow says the city recognized that there are real issues for it to put its resources and attention towards. Phil Martino, 680 News.
The Prime Minister is talking about Doug Ford. Trudeau responding to a PC Party attack ad.
The campaign-style attack ad from the PC Party of Ontario, which began airing yesterday, tries to blame the third wave on the Prime Minister.
Trudeau didn't close the borders when the pandemic started. He didn't close the borders when it got worse. Nobody wants a fourth wave.
Indeed, all Premier Ford has been talking about lately is the borders. Well, Prime Minister Trudeau responded today, taking aim at Doug Ford without mentioning him by name.
Leaders are under a certain amount of stress right now, and some will choose to point fingers and lay blame and even engage in personal attacks. That's not my approach, and that's not, quite frankly, what Ontarians need.
Premier Ford didn't speak to the media today. He hasn't in a week. I'm Richard Southern.
This is All News Radio 680 News. Province reporting cases above the 3,000 mark again today, but in the ongoing race against the variants, the rate of vaccinations is picking up.
Some of the key numbers continuing to trend downwards, with Ontario reporting 3,166 confirmed cases of COVID-19, with 23 new deaths related to the virus. The 7-day average of cases declining once again. More than 51,000 tests completed with a positivity rate of 7%. The number of people in ICUs with the virus across the province down as well to 858. But today's numbers may not be completely accurate. A message from the Ministry of Health says, due to a technical issue with laboratory laboratory data feed, today's case count may be underreported. Positive news on the vaccine front, with the province once again setting a one-day record for vaccines at over 144,000 doses administered yesterday. York Region laying out plans to open up its vaccine rollout to anyone 30 and over by May 17th and anyone 18 and over by May 24th, region-wide. And with Mother's Day this weekend, the province's health table once again asking you to celebrate at a distance. I'm Owen Qureshi.
This is 680 News. We're now just 2 weeks away from the province-wide stay-at-home order expiring, but one expert says reopening too quickly may undo all the work we've done to slow the spread of COVID-19 and its variants. 680's Madison Fitzpatrick joins us live with those details. Madison.
So, Jana, with hitting a record of more than 144,000 vaccines administered, an epidemiologist with the University of Toronto says as we continue vaccinations province-wide, Ontario can expect to see a sharp decline in cases, possibly by the end of the month. Dr. Colin Furness says it's also important we don't loosen restrictions in the province too soon.
As long as we don't start opening up too soon. I mean, to put it in perspective, 65% of adults means 35% aren't. Only 3% of Ontarians have contracted COVID today. So this whole pandemic mess in Ontario is based on 3%. So if we have 10 times that still susceptible, still walking around, we've got plenty of room for COVID to reassert itself.
Dr. Furness says mass vaccinations help to dramatically decrease spread in long-term care homes, but it will take a lot longer for the spread to decrease province-wide due to policy issues. He adds, even though they're not being very responsible either, the United States is proof that vaccinations will work. Reporting live, I'm Madison Fitzpatrick.
How's that helping India?
Gas prices are next.
Your news right now. The information you need before and after COVID-19. This is 6.
So don't wait. Call today because it's a great time to beat the summer rush and get $1,200 off a select air conditioner for a great deal now. Conditions apply. Savings off a regular price. See website for details.
We are Toronto's news talk leader.
We are told the best shot is the shot you are offered, take it. But if you can wait for the mRNA vaccine, it's much preferred.
The fact that you see these people doing this kind of news conference and just spouting off on hypotheticals, to me, is just, again, I think it's malpractice.
On Point with Alex Pearson, weekdays at 6:30 p.m. or anytime from Apple and Spotify podcasts. We are 640 Toronto.
We're going to make your windows twinkle.
We're going to make your gutters sparkle.
We're going to make your driveways, decks, and sidewalks glow.
Twinkle, sparkle, and glow.
Oh, those gutters are going to flow.
Shack Shine washes windows.
Shack Shine cleans gutters.
Shack Shine power washes driveways, decks, and sidewalks.
And boy, oh boy, do we do Christmas lights.
Shack
Shine. It would take you 7 Saturdays to do what Shack Shine could do in just a few hours. House detailing by Shack Shine.
ShackShine.com. Regain your active lifestyle with Genical Pain Relief. Genical Pain Relief is a solution to reduce joint pain in less than 5 days. Experience the relief of Genical Pain Relief, Canada's #1 selling joint care supplement. Genical Pain Relief is available at Shoppers Drug Mart, the Real Canadian Superstore, Walmart, and selected Rexall stores, and on Amazon. Learn more at painrelief.genical.ca. To ensure this product is right for you, always read and follow the label.
Genical makes me feel so good.
When the sun is rising and the birds are chirping, there's no better way to start the day than a good old freshly milked Jeff. And when it comes to car insurance, only the most oblivious Jeffs get milked. Jeffs who never shop around. Freshly milked Jeff. Good to the last Jeff. Don't get milked on car insurance. Get a better rate and save an average of $676 with rates.ca.
With the Daily Grand Lotto, you can win $1,000 a day for life.
Wait, every single day?
Yeah.
So I'd start liking Mondays?
Probably.
But everybody hates Mondays, so I'd suddenly be an outcast, living on the fringes of society, a bizarre Monday-loving weirdo.
But you get $1,000 every day for life.
Then TGIM, baby, and every other day, too.
The Daily Grand Lotto draws every Monday and Thursday. Buy tickets in store and online at olg.ca. Ontario's COVID-19 vaccine plan is helping to stop the spread and save lives. Until we're all vaccinated, we need to stay the course. Wear a mask.
What happens
wash
once
your
we're all
hands,
vaccinated,
keep
dude?
your
What match
distance.
do you
We've
think
come
is gonna
so
happen?
far together, and thousands of people across Ontario are getting vaccinated every day. Your turn is coming soon. Visit ontario.ca/COVID vaccine plan or call 1-888-999-6488 for assistance in 300 languages. Paid for by the Government of Ontario.
I'm Wolfgang Klein, Portfolio Manager with Canaccord Genuity Wealth Management and host of Hi-Fi Radio right here on Global News Radio 640, Toronto. I'm pleased to announce that our showtime has been moved forward to 7 p.m. Saturday nights. Spend an hour with us to learn more about money management. You know, managing money is simple, but it's not easy. We've seen this movie before. Crises? What crises? There'll be another one, but you need a steady hand to get through them. I've proven it. Visit us at wolfgangklein.com. Any questions? Give me a call.
It was a rainy day when Pizzaville announced the medium gourmet pizza special. Get a medium gourmet pizza for just $13.99. That's like flying first class when you only paid economy. You're up front, sipping champagne and stretching out in your luxuriously wide berth. Instead of having somebody kick the back of your seat, then the guy in front of you decides to recline his seat.
Pizzaville,
And you end up
stone-baked
wearing
pizza.
your
Fiercely Canadian, authentically Italian.
It is 5:43 and time to check traffic one more time. Here's Ari Rabinovich.
And on the eastbound QEW past Mississauga Road, two left lanes still blocked with this collision, and it's jammed from approaching Erin Mills to that spot. The good news on the west 401 at the right to the Jamestown Parkway prob is now clear. But watch out for a crash in town now at Lawrence and Dufferin. Farm to table means fresh. Look for grade A eggs from Canadian egg farmers. Real farmers, real eggs. See the egg journey at Kraken.ca. I'm Ari Rabinovich, Global News Radio 640 Toronto. Chopper traffic.
Don't just know the story. Understand it. This is CFMJ Global News Radio 640 Toronto, a Chorus Entertainment Company. This hour of the John Oakley Show is brought to you by LG Home Comfort, because comfort should not be costly. To learn more, visit lghomecomfort.ca. Topics worthy of discussion continues.
Topics worthy of discussion brought to you, as always, by Pizzaville. Pound 3636, and on the panel, Mitzi Hunter and Mike Schreiner. I asked you a question before the break, lady and gentlemen, and the question was, why do you think we are arguably the most locked down place in the world, as some are saying? Mitzi?
You know, Peter, we still are not out of the woods yet. I know, especially in the GTA, we've been in lockdown since last October. It seems like it has not ended at all. But it's because of the health risk. I mean, our ICUs just recently became so overwhelmed that they were on the brink of triage protocols. We had to transfer patients to other hospitals in Ontario for treatment. I know, for instance, in Peel, last week there was 139 transfers out of those local hospitals. You know, one of them was my sister-in-law. You know, thankfully she's resting at home and recovering. But it's a real, thank you. It's a real, you know, health risk that we face in Ontario right now. And, you know, we've been hit hard by COVID. Some of the decisions, you know, we've already talked about them. You could have been probably, you know, less reactive and not as slow in our response, because the virus moves lightning fast, and we have to keep up with it. We have to stay ahead of it, which is why, you know, I'm starting to think about, you know, not the summer. You know, if we look at Saskatchewan, they put out their phased plan of how they're going to reopen their province. And, you know, I agree with Mike that we need more clarity here in Ontario, but there are things we can begin to plan for now. School reopening is just 4 months away. What is the plan to make sure that all teachers are vaccinated and education workers, all students, as long as there's an allowable range? What's the vaccination plan for those 12 years old and up? How do we keep our communities safe and life can return back to normal as much as possible. Those are things that we have to pre-plan. We have to proactively plan those. And I believe that, oftentimes we are in a reactive mode in Ontario and not proactive.
It's interesting listening to you talk, and I'm not for a moment dissing a word you said, because there's nothing inaccurate about what you said. But you are putting a particular kind of message out there, and we work together long enough in the legislature that you know that I understand what you're doing, and I've done it myself. So I'm going to leave you alone, Mitzi, on that, because as I said, you haven't told me anything that's untrue. But Mike, I'm going to twist the question a little bit differently based on what I've just told Mitzi. You also have a message that you want to get out there, and it also has to do with how things have been executed, the health exigencies, the fact that, as Mitzi said, we were on the verge of a terrible kind of triage. But at the same time, there's plenty of blame to go around. I mean, if you take a look at how fast the vaccines didn't make it into Ontario versus how fast they did make it into other hotspots. If you take a look at how places like Taiwan, or for that matter, bring it closer to home, the Maritimes or New Zealand handled their shutdowns at the beginning and how we didn't, you can lay some of the blame there. There's no doubt that other aspects are what Mitzi's talking about. How do you see it? How come we're so locked down for so long?
Yeah, Peter, I think a lot of it is we have to be on offense, not on defense. Half measures clearly don't work, and having a plan is vital. And I go back, and I don't want to go too much in the past, but I go back to last summer, Peter, when we got the numbers down. Like, we locked down hard during the first wave, and I think a lot of people were actually, fairly complimentary of the actions government took, including the Ontario government. But the problem was we let our guard up over the summer, and we didn't have the capacity in place for testing, lab capacity. We didn't invest in lowering class sizes and doing some things we needed to do that would have prevented the second wave from being as bad as it was. Other jurisdictions, and you named some of them, New Zealand, I think the Atlantic provinces, Australia, some of the Asian countries, they locked down harder and built that capacity up, and they were able to mitigate the worst of the second wave. And Ontario didn't do that. And
Mike, Taiwan didn't lock down at all, and they had 12 cases total to date.
What?
And the reason they
Taiwan was
because
running around spraying, pressure washing the streets with bleach for some reason.
We're shutting down the airports. That's it. So no virus. That's what they did. They didn't lock down.
But the other ones, like Atlantic Canada did, Australia did, New Zealand did. A lot of the places that locked down hard early, their economies recovered much faster. And yes, Canada could have done a better job around particularly vaccine procurement. But the reality is in the province of Ontario, we were not ready for the second wave. We did not make the investments we needed to. And what makes me so frustrated about it, Peter, is the province was sitting on $12 billion last September that I think if they'd invested it earlier, so we were playing offense, the province ended up spending the money, but it was later after it was too late, and then we were on the defensive. And since then, we've had a lot of half measures. And I go back, especially to February 11th, we had locked down again for the second wave. It was tough, but in a press conference, the co-chair of the Science Advisory Committee said if we ease the restrictions too early, all the work we did during the last lockdown we're going to lose, and we're going to have a crisis. And what did the government do? It eased the restrictions, again, half measures, and that led to the crisis of the third wave. So I think if we had taken stronger action and been on the offensive instead of the defensive, we still would have had waves to deal with, but I don't think they would have surged as high as they did.
Okay, I think I've beaten you guys up enough. Let's go to the TT. I didn't mean it quite the way it sounded, but you know what I'm saying. The TTC has seen a pretty massive dip in ridership. It's not surprising because there's so many people still working from home. And I might say who are demonstrating by their actions, and I'm talking about moving up towards the suburbs, some beyond. They're going to the exurbs, living in Niagara, living in Muskoka, that kind of thing, because they've discovered, and companies have discovered, that they can, and they can be effective when they're working from home. So we're seeing this dip in ridership ever since the pandemic. Subsequent lockdowns have hit as well. But now it's looking like ridership may take a permanent hit, as more people may actually do the work from home thing on a go-forward basis, on a permanent basis. And even with the $1.3 billion in transit aid, and the TTC expects to fall short, we're looking at 126 million deficiency. In other words, under budget. We're going to need 126 million to keep that system going the way it is. The system is vital to Toronto, but may soon be more of a financial strain than anybody ever expected. What do we do about that, Mitzi?
Well, first of all, Peter, you know I am a transit champion. It's something that I believe we need public transit. And, you know, I want to say thank you to all of the transit workers, because they continue to persevere throughout all of this and put their lives on the line, because they've been the front line of the pandemic. And I want to just thank them for that. We will continue to need public transit beyond the pandemic. And we don't know what decisions employers are going to make, and more importantly, their talent that they need to continue to attract in terms of how they want to work in the future beyond COVID. So I do think that calling it now is a bit too early. What's important is that we, regardless of what happens, we need to keep public transit running and working, and we need to rebuild confidence in the system that people are safe when they ride. And we're in the third wave, so it's too early to make those predictions, but for sure, we're going to need to rebuild our downtowns. Whether the mix will look different in terms of office workers, live workspaces, and play as well. It's not just, offices. There's a lot of cultural and social interaction that happens downtown. And when it's safe to do so, we're going to need those transit systems coming in and out to get people moving.
Well, nobody's going to argue with you, Mitzi, and so I'll go to Mike and continue the discussion. I didn't make these numbers, so this is what's coming out of TTC. They're obviously expressing some worry. There are people who, despite the fact that we are in a lockdown, are perfectly capable from wherever they're working of continuing to do their demographic and distribution jobs, and they can predict where people are moving to and how they're living, and they can come up with models and already have that show us what we can expect on the other side of this abnormality. There is going to be a normal. What it looks like, nobody knows. Mike, what do we say if we're faced with $126 million and the folks who are behind the transit organizations, which are an amalgam of a few burbs, certainly the city of Toronto and Metrolinx, we're 126 million short.
Yeah, it's tough, and government's going to unfortunately have to fill that gap right now. And like Mitzi, I want to thank all the transit workers who are frontline essential workers who, they're putting themselves at risk to get the job done. I think it's going to be hard at this point to determine what it's going to look like once people are vaccinated and once we're experiencing a new normal, Peter. I can tell you pre-pandemic, I can remember some evenings trying to get on a subway at Queen's Park, and it was so jam-packed at rush hour, like 3 or 4 trains had to go by before I could even get on the subway. So whether we'll be seeing that type of usage, we don't know yet. But the bottom line was that pre-pandemic, the transit system in Toronto in particular didn't have enough capacity to meet demand. And so even if there is a decline in demand because less people are coming into the offices and things like that, I think you'll still see significant demand for transit, but obviously we're not going to know that until we're in a post-pandemic moment.
We won't know the future till
the Ford government.
We won't know the future till it's the past, and it's because of Ford.
They're talking about Highway 413, which everyone along that corridor, including municipal governments, have said, don't sacrifice our farmland, don't sacrifice our green our wetlands for this highway that no one needs. So, I believe that we are humans, we're social beings, and we're going to want to have systems that connect us. And keeping your transit systems working and investing in them is something that we need to do. Building them out, building out more capacity in the system is something that we're going to need to do. And the downtown are going to continue to flourish into the future.
Debbie Downer. No 413. Let me end this on a high note. It's not too early to be talking about TIFF. The TIFF people are saying they're sticking with the hybrid model for the festival for this year. Does this seem safe to you, Mike Schreiner? Would you go to a TIFF event if you were fully vaccinated, which I would expect you will be by September? I hope you will be. Or would you feel safer and more comfortable just looking at it from home on your screen?
Well, first of all, I hope we're all safely vaccinated by September, because then we'll be looking at a completely different world and having our lives back. I like the fact that TIFF's looking at a hybrid model, because even once we're vaccinated and it's safe to go out again, and I'm sure a lot of people, including myself, are very eager to go back out again, because we are social beings and we want to take transit to get to nights of TIFF events and things like that. But I also think having some online accessibility is a good idea as well, because there are some people who may not be able to travel or who may not be able to participate but can participate online. And so I think you're going to start seeing, even post-pandemic, more hybrid type models just to make events like that more accessible for people who are unable to travel and participate in person.
I think Mr. Schreiner's right, Mitzi. I think that it behooves the TIFF people to think about making it available on screens by subscription, of course, as they have been, to people after this is over. What do you think?
I love it. I love the idea, and I have a strong belief and support in our cultural sector, whether it's Luminato or TIFF. All of the great culture and talent and art and creativity that we have in this province should be made available in person once it's safe to do so, but also using those digital platforms and all the learnings. We don't want to just toss that all out.
You heard about the internet?
Which is your bank. If you... At ButlerMortgage.ca.
License number 12118, high ratio variable rate, APR 1.16%.
Now, 680 News regional weather conditions for Coy Brothers.
Looking for the best power equipment, parts, and brand name accessories?
Coy Brothers is your one-stop shop.
Trust the pros at Coy Bros.
Shop online at KOOYBROS.com.
Markham, partly cloudy and 11 degrees. Brampton, partly cloudy and 9. Downtown Toronto, more sun than cloud, and 10 degrees. The News Watch never stops. 680 News is CFTR AM Toronto at 6 o'clock.
Toronto's #1 for breaking news, traffic, and weather. This is 680 News.
Good evening. It's Friday, May the 7th. I'm James Monroe.
I'm Slochana Timinzik. Here are the top stories right now.
Good breaking news from the roads in Midtown. A woman and child taken to hospital following a serious two-vehicle crash near Mount Pleasant and Eglinton. Full report in seconds.
A theft investigation at Riverdale Farm, like Toronto police.